Hi, it's Anne. Thanks for stopping by. We're going back to our little purple journal today, and I'm going to be making a little corner pocket that flips up. I've actually never made this style before. It's very, very well known in the junk journal world as the Rita Donnelly flip. But I've seen a couple of twists on it where there's actually pockets inside the flip instead of internal writing space. So let's just get right to it. I'm going to set this little... I'm just really, this purple journal is really growing on me. You've seen me be working with this a fair amount lately. This is this printer paper, copy paper that I got a pack of at the thrift store some time ago. And we're going to be starting with a square. I want to do a 5-inch square. So I'm going to mark off a 5-inch spot there. And let's see, how do I want to fold it into a square. I guess I can do it this way. I might use my craft mat here to get that angle appropriate. And I want the paper to be folded down the middle from corner to corner anyway. So I hope I got that square. We'll see. There we go. Yeah, so this is not a super thick kind of paper. I am going to, I'm just going to get out my knife. I don't trust myself to tear it without messing up the corners. There we go. Anyway, so you can see this is a pretty thin paper, but we're going to be putting some extra pockets or extra thicknesses on the inside. Little bits of glue on there. A little bit of this is going to be showing, and I'm going to now fold it so our decorative side is on the outside. You could use book page as long as it wasn't one that was, you know, too brittle. Now I'm going to get my little ink blending tool, and I'm just going to kind of distress the inside of this flip because the center part is going to be visible, but down in the corners we're going to be putting some pockets. So now from what I understand, the classic Rita Donnelly flip, and do correct me if I'm wrong because it's not something I have ever done before, it fits onto a page like this, just glues down. You can put a pocket there, and then, oh, look, it flips up and you have journaling space, which is a really, really great idea. Why I've never done the flip before, I don't know. But I certainly salute Rita Donnelly for having come up with it. Let me do just a little bit of inking along this edge. Anyway, that's the classic flip from what I understand. But we are going to be putting a little pocket here and a pocket there. So I'm going to go back to my piece here, and I want them to be similar. Actually, I want them to mirror one another. So what's the best way to make use of this? Maybe I will do a little measuring. You can tell I haven't done this yet. I just have come up with the idea in my mind. And I think I'm going to cut two triangle pieces. I'm going to use again the craft mat. And this I think I can trust myself to tear. Nope. Needed to get it started with something sharp there. Let me come around to this corner. And do the same. Let's see how this will work. Nope. There's just something about the physics of grasping. If I grasp this and tried, I'd have to grasp it down here and start tearing from up there. And that's just not going to work. All right, there. Plenty of things I can use this for. So here are our little pocket pieces. And I don't want them to come all the way up to the fold. I'm going to turn down the edge, see if that's still too big. Yeah, that's a little big. I think I want the pockets to be a little more shallow. So I can tuck a few very tiny things in there. And just so that's the same. The world's most imprecise folding and measuring there. One pocket acting as a template for the other. And just a little swipe there to hold that thin paper. And the same here. Yeah, it's weird working on this purple journal because I really realized how few, I don't have a lot of purple things, but as I keep looking, I do find things that will go with purple. And I don't want everything to be, I don't want everything to be matchy. I mean, there's plenty of colors, wonderful colors that go with purple and enhance it. And even these like hydrangea papers, there's some that are kind of purple, parts of it that are kind of purpley, others that are kind of pink and blue. And so I'm enjoying the nuances there. How does that feel for our pocket placement? I think I'm okay with that. Let's get to inking. And then we're going to try to do, oh gosh, can you hear my husband coughing upstairs? Sorry about that. Pollen in the air. Now what I'd like to do is to sneak in a little magnet so that it will, when it's sitting on the page, it stays more, more closed. Actually, I think this is the side that I want to show. So this will be the top. I'm going to make a little T here for top. And I found, I think I brought it over here. Yeah, here it is. There's any number of magnets, flat magnets that I'm sure you have around. I had a little, a little strip of this little flexible magnet in the craft room. There was a little magnet on the back of this refrigerator magnet that I could pry off and use that or use part of it. But I also found, you know what I was looking for? I used to have business card magnets that were on our refrigerator. And one was from our vet that we used to have when we still had our cat Betty. And we are a pet-free household now since Betty passed, and that's been 3 years ago. And so we don't need that anymore. I had saved that for a craft project at one time, that magnet. Could I find it? I could not. But I did. This was on a tool chest in the garage, and I nabbed that. I thought I can cut that up. I do want to make certain that a paper clip will stick to it. Yeah, okay, not on that side. So this is the magnetic side. There's a little pop top off of a tomato can. Here's a little ring. Okay, so that's an active magnet. I think I'm going to just use a paper clip here. And I'm just going to cut this apart, and it doesn't, it doesn't have to be beautiful. It's not going to be beautiful. I would just cut squares if I had that business card from the vets, if I had that magnet. But the only reason I didn't cut off just a tiny little snippet is I wanted it to be wide enough that it could catch, if I glue this down, I could catch this, it could catch this on either side. So where is my Fabri-Tac glue? 3-in-1, I guess, this particular flavor of the fine beacon glue. And this is, the reason I like this really thin magnet is it can just glue. I mean, it's thicker than a thick piece of paper, but it's also thin enough that it can glue under there without any particular problem. And there's going to be a little extra weight to pull it down to. This part is not necessary, but it's just kind of something I wanted to try. I'm gluing that. I'm wondering if I should put a little piece of washi tape over this paper clip. That should be thin enough that it shouldn't impede the grab. Let's see, is that going to grab? Yeah, it's okay. It doesn't have to be a strong grab. It's going to have to go through the pockets anyway. It might be effective just to keep the flap down just from the weight alone, and not so much the magnetic power of that little flimsy magnet. But anyway, I thought I would give that a try. Now let's go ahead and get the pockets in place. I started this inking process here. And then we'll see if we can do maybe just a little bit of decorating. Again, because I don't have a lot of really purpley things, I'm struggling a little bit with how to decorate these things. But if I'm also trying not to overthink it, which is a little bit difficult for me. I think it'll be a nice little surprise to have in the corner of this journal. There we go. So we know that's a nice right angle. And there we go there. So that pocket's in place. And I will ink a little bit there to cover up that bit that shows. Now let's put our other pocket in place. And there's going to be 3 pockets in one here. Trying to get that edge up to the edge of my original so I don't have to trim it off. Okay, there's our little pocket base, and I can feel that magnet grabs. I'm not certain that that's really worth the trouble of going to hunt up a magnet, but it's okay. It will be fine. Let's put a little bit of lace along this edge here. Looks like I've got a little bit of ink there, but that's probably not a bad thing. smallest bead I can get of this 3-in-1 glue. And that's just because, using that just because I just have much better luck with using the beacon glue when I'm putting a fibrous material onto paper. There we go. Not a necessary step, but I had some lace laying around and I thought, let's just use that. Looks like I want to ink just a little bit more here on that edge. There we go. And let's open it back up again. I'm not going to put any decorating there because I don't want to add any more thickness on the inside, because we're going to be adding some thickness just from putting things in the pockets as well. These, I have just a few, like from my tiny tuck-ins box. Just these were little ovals that I cut out of some altered playing cards. Those would be kind of cute. This might be too big. Well, it could sit in there, but yeah, I guess that might be okay. Here's another little strawberry. This is a printout from, or a cutout from something I had. Yeah, those could be nice little surprises. And let's decorate the outside. I struggle sometimes with decorating triangle pockets, just because the shape is just sort of different from what I'm used to. So let's see if I can get over that here. I cut out a few little things from a seed and plant catalog. That's not right. That's not right. Here's some lavender. That's a little too matchy-matchy, but I don't dislike that. I don't dislike that at all. I could maybe fussy cut along the top and maybe put a little piece of book page there. Shall we try that? This is definitely going to be putting the fussy in fussy cut. I'm going to be doing the bubble cut where the background is just sort of bubbling. I'm obviously not going to get in and do all of those little lavender petals. There we go. How would something like that look? It might look better if it's inked, and you know I'm going to have to ground it. I'll grab a piece of book page. I guess, you know, that just kind of putting a little piece of book page, a little piece of dictionary page, just sort of seems to be my style, I guess. I just cleaned up a little bit ago. Do I still have some dictionary page? It's funny, when I first started doing junk journals, I read a lot and saw a lot of videos about, you know, what's your style? Are you a minimalist crafter? Are you maximalist? Do you know, and I would see those videos and I loved seeing them, but they kind of filled me with a little bit, made me feel a little bit anxious, because I would read about all these different styles and I still didn't really know what I was, you know what I mean? And yeah, I think that might be okay. So it's only after doing this several years, and I guess it's been 5 years now that I've been junk journaling, I can remember from, you know, the sad anniversary marker that we have every year in the spring when we remember when the pandemic began. And that was kind of the beginning of the junk journal journey for me. So yeah, I didn't really know what my, you know, what my style was. I knew what looked pleasant to me when I was beginning to, you know, to create things. And so I guess you kind of do what seems natural to you, and then you look at it later and think, oh, I guess that's my style. I still don't know what word I would put to it, but I do know I tend to use, obviously, as you know, I love using pure junk. I love using things that would be otherwise be thrown away. These are all things from other publications. I have a few digitals, but very few. Yeah, I think that's probably okay. Do I want to add anything else to it? I have a couple of these stamps. Yeah, I think I could kind of create a little collage there. Why don't I put this love stamp there? Because I knew when I was looking at possible contenders for decorating this, you know, I didn't want, you know, like a city bus or a, you know, anything architectural. I wanted things that were sort of soft and frilly and gentle, gardeny. Do I want another? Stamp here? Do I want to stamp down here? I think I'm going to add the little lavender, and then I'll decide what else I need. Yeah, so, you know, if you, like me, you know, have a hard time just really putting a name on what your style is, my first words are, welcome to the club, you know, don't worry about it. You know, just do what seems to make sense to you. And, you know, your gut, you know, you know what your own taste is. Carrie the Crafter says this, you know, it's, you know, sometimes it's easier just to talk about your style. Think of it instead as your taste, you know. I know there's some things that just aren't my taste. And there we go. So here I want to be folding it down that way, but there's our little secret pocket. Should I do a little bit of stenciling there? Maybe I'll do that, and then we can get it put into a journal. I have a little floral stencil here in case I wanted to use it. And I have a little purple distress ink. Just going to hopefully not be too heavy-handed with this. I got these brushes years ago. I use them occasionally with card making. Well, it's all tangled up. That's okay. I may have, you know, that color is not the greatest, but you know what? I think it's going to be fine. Let's load this back up again. And that little milkshake, this little strawberry, this little oval, all with journaling space on the back. Let's get it in a journal. I'm feeling happy with that. And there's going to be little touches of lace throughout this journal, which I find very pleasant. It's going to give some kind of cohesiveness to the piece. You know, this is kind of, maybe I'll put, no, it shouldn't go opposite these flippy pockets. That's kind of a weird thing. I had this in the stash. This is from our, when we did those little silhouette collages, and it had purple in it. So I thought, oh, I'd put that in there. Yeah, that's actually looks kind of pleasant across from that map. So now if I can remember, I'm going to leave this side open. So I'm just going to put my glue here and here, as this will become a little pocket. Here. And that, I'm kind of impressed at that magnet. Again, very, very weak magnet, very weak. But enough to, you know, to hold it and for it to be sort of a surprise when it does plop open like that. And let me see if I can find a tag to pop in there. I was just storing some in here. I need to figure out some sort of decoration to put on those. That's going to be nice. Look at that. And here's our little internal things. I could do some stenciling and or maybe some stamping on these inside pockets to give them a little bit of decoration. But there's our little Rita Donnelly pocket that flips open and has some other little pockets on the inside. I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks so much, guys. We will see you soon.